All right, let's take a look at where we left off last time. If I press play and I'm going to go ahead and click inside of this screen down at the bottom here, you can see I can have a character walking around. Let me hit escape to the escape key to leave this view, and then I'm going to uncheck play. Now, I'm going to go ahead and select the player armature and hit F to focus. I'm holding Alt and left click to rotate. So just kind of a little bit. I'm going to do that for a while until we're back to sort of remembering where we left off. And if you took another class with me, you might not remember all these settings, like, for example, scrolling your wheel on your mouse in and out to zoom. Expand your player armature here, and I want you to grab your main camera and drag it on top of player armature camera root. Now, the dragging, if you're not familiar with it, you're going to hold your left mouse button and just drop it. And I'm going to press play. And what you'll notice in this view here is we now have an updated camera. As I move my mouse around, it's kind of like a lot of the MMOs where it sort of moves within a specific area. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit escape and uncheck play. Let's save this. Now I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go over to a website called houseplans.com, and we're going to find an environment that we like. All right, so here we are on houseplans.com. One of the things I do is when I find a site that I like, I create a folder in my taskbar. So I'm using Chrome, but they all have this feature. So essentially when you make a new tab, you might see this here. And I just right click and I go to show bookmarks. What we're going to do is inside of here, we're going to scroll down and we're just going to look at these different house plan collections. Now, depending on the house you like, I wouldn't pick anything too insane. And in all honesty, I'd probably just go with the same one that we use in this tutorial. But I go to modern, and then I try to find a modern house that would be easy enough to model, especially if you're a first-time modeler, like that's really mostly squares, but big enough to be interesting for a video game. So I like this house a lot. I actually saw this a little bit earlier. So if I left-click on this, you'll see that they give us the different views of the house. And I think this would make for an interesting, like, mystery game or something. And then you could see they give us some ideas for the inside, right? Like if you want to make the kitchen or whatever. And what you'll do is I usually grab this lock and I just drag it and drop it on my taskbar. I actually made a folder by right-clicking and going to add folder. And I called it environment class and I dragged it inside of here. So I'm going to right-click and delete this because I don't need it, because it's here. So now I can always return to this site. But what you're looking for is if you scroll down this image here, and this is the floor plan. So this is the main floor, which is kind of cool. So maybe we'll just go with that. And then if you keep going, there's the upper floor. And then this looks like it is the other floor. Maybe that's the outside, or it's just like a third floor with a master bedroom or something. I don't know. But let's go with something like this, where we can have a garage and we can have an office, and here's a great room and a dining and a kitchen. So this is a lot of interest. So maybe we come into this room and we notice the mystery happens here. We're not going to be doing a lot of the scripting of any sort of, maybe we'll do doors and opening and closing, but the mystery part of this is that maybe you just pick up objects or something. So we'll make a very simple pickup game. And if you worked on the intro to game class before, we'll make a variation of that, but with this character. So anyway, so right click on this and do save image as, and just throw it on your desktop for now. And we'll call this one main floor. Now I want to specify that I actually used houseplans.com for a firefighting simulator at a different company. So you are able to use these, and especially if you edit that or move things around. All right, so let's return to Unity. All right, so here we are back in Unity. I'm going to right click on the assets folder in here, and I'm going to make a new folder called models. And let's keep with the naming conventions where everything is an M, a capital M. And in this folder, I'm going to make another folder called reference. Or actually, let's make a folder called maybe environment. We could probably call it building if we're going to have multiple buildings, and then in here, I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call this ref for ref. Now inside the ref folder, I'm going to right click and I'm going to import a new asset. And that asset is going to be this main floor here. Now let's delete this floor. And I'm going to go to game object, 3D object, and I'm going to create a plane. Now I'm going to reset the positioning of this plane here by left clicking on these 3 dots and clicking reset. Now when I press play, it should be below my main character. All right, so I'm walking around, pretty cool. Let's start thinking about, well, how do we load in our reference? So on this plane here, I'm going to call this, I'm going to left click once, or in the inspector, you can name this ref underscore plane. So reference plane. And I'm just going to grab my main floor image and just drop it on there. Now it looks like it's sort of same direction if I want my character to come in through the patio. So I can probably just leave that alone, but it's a little tiny, right? Like this isn't the size of a doorway that this character should be in. I'm going to guess that it should be 3 times the size. So I'm going to type 3 tab 3 tab 3 in the scale of the XYZ inside the inspector. That looks about right. Let me bring this down a little bit. If I hit F to focus, sometimes you have to tap. It looks about the size of a sink that a character would use, right? And what I can do is I can actually grab my player armature and just sort of position them. Ooh, that looks like it's way out there. I guess it factored in the camera. Position them right here. So I'm going to press play. And let's say our character enters from the patio, and we'll build out like maybe a terrain. So I walk our character around like this. And you'll notice that, let's see, if maybe they have a script on here. Let's see, that's a character controller. So we expand this, player camera root, main camera. We might have to play with maybe the field of view. Let's see if that helps us zoom in a little bit on our character. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And something else is if you click on play focus and do play maximized, every time you hit play, it'll full screen your game. Like that. Here we are around. It's the feel of viewing into some. I might go a little bit. Let's do our field of view of like 20 or something. Let's see if that gives me a little bit more control with my mouse. Here, maybe I'm going the wrong way. Oh yeah, like so maybe we'll try. I think if we started with 30, let's do. Yeah, let's try 30. Let's try hit play, and I'm not going to spend too much more time on this. Yeah, that's a lot better. I think character go. Let's go and let's take a look at what we're going to do next. And what we'll do, well, what we're going to be using is in the next videos, we're going to go ahead and start building these walls and stuff.